Hi Sandeep, welcome back to When Coaching Matters podcast. And last session was brilliant. The amount of knowledge I've gained from that session, I'm going to use in my coaching practice. And I want that, I want one more piece of your brain. That is why I've called you back. And I love talking to you. And I'm a little biased too here. He's my mentor, so I do love him. So let's talk about the industry of coaching has evolved, and what do you think is the next 5 to 10 years in this industry?
Okay, so you want me to kind of do crystal ball gazing in that
Yeah,
sense?
yes.
Okay, let me see. uh, I think let me put this into two parts. So there are trends which are there already in place, which I don't see changing. So, for example, globally, when we look at the classical Western world, and there, the coaching is fairly evolved and very specialized. In the sense, you have people who will specialize in relationship coaching, business coaching, executive coaching, and so on and so forth. So I don't see that changing. And sometimes you hear people saying, "I've got a couple of coaches or three coaches. How many do you have?" Kind of a golf course conversation between very senior people. So I don't see that changing because not coming from the point of that I'm proud to have more, but the point is uh, coaches will develop their own niches over a period of time in this part of the world also. When I'm talking about Asia, I'm talking about coaching takes a slightly different color as you move from west to east, and those practices will which next 5 years I think east or the Asian side of the world, including Africa, Middle East, will evolve much faster. It will not only probably do catch up, but probably it'll go further and beyond than even the most advanced countries are looking at. You will see a lot of material evolve from this part of the world, okay, around the business of coaching. You'll see a lot more coaches evolve from this part of the world as compared to the Western world. And you will see the expertise which is different and needed to be different. In fact, nowadays, if you go to LinkedIn, you'll be surprised how many people from the West are trying to find business of in this part of the world. So there is a shift which you will see in the next 5 years, and that's something we should be proud of. And also, you will see that the coaching will become more culturalized, which means coaching I don't see, like for example in China, same as in India. The coaching in India probably will be different than Middle East, so it'll become more acclimatized to the regional geographies which we are talking about, because there has to be a cultural context to anything which we do. And that's also good because then it has a better chance of adoption and going deeper. And you will see therefore different types of coaches evolve, or different streams of coaching evolve, especially in the Asian continent. Then another big shift is that coaching will get integrated with artificial intelligence, and that's a big trend which is already there. It has started. uh, and interestingly, Asia will probably see a bigger leap there again. Why Asia may lead the world is because it has access to technology already. Uh, there is the digital world is much more better established in Asian countries, especially India, China, Southeast Asia, South Asia, as compared to the Western world. Okay, so there has been frog leaping around because of the mobile revolution, internet connectivity, and other things. So accessibility, now just do the numbers here. Okay, 8 billion people roughly, and of the 8 billion, 3 billion are in India and China alone.
Yep.
Yeah, everyone has a mobile phone and a smartphone, almost, you can say that. Now, if you have a smartphone, you can access an AI coach, yeah, 24 by 7. And that's the big trend. So coaching will shift to 24 by 7 kind of a platform using the technologies which are going to be allowed. And therefore, I see a frog leaping. whether it'll happen, start happening next year, day after, year after that, or but it'll happen. And I cannot really crystal gaze 5 years from now, but I'm sure that's what the world is going to be. And but that I'm not trying to scare the coaches. I'm not saying that human coaches' relevance will go down. I think there will be a symbiotic relationship which will emerge between AI and human coaches to create a better and in-depth and more relevant and more customized experience for the clients so that they can be more self-reliant, faster, better, and in the manner which serves them best.
Wow. So you've already answered my, next question about the new trends which are coming up, the innovation, the AI which is coming to this industry. So what excites you most when we talk about AI in this industry?
I mean, I can talk a lot about, but two most important things. First of all, there is a challenge which human coaches have some disadvantages when it comes to coaching. First, because let's say if you and I are in a coach-client relationship, okay, somewhere at the back of your mind, you have a little part of your brain called amygdala, which
Yeah.
gets often triggered by, or we used to, in common language, we call it a reptilian brain, which is always very sensitive to being judged. Okay, it gets triggered when it senses judgment or concluding or attribution. So those things trigger that behavior, and it can disrupt the conversation which is there. So while human coaches are very well trained to do that, but that sensation that if I tell my deep dark secret to the human coach, will she be able to manage, understand, and not judge me? Now that fear is not there with AI. And there was a research done which pointed towards that human beings are more comfortable telling their deep dark secrets to AI coach, or which is basically an app, okay, rather than a human coach. Having said that, the advantage human coaches have that they are much better at turning the eyeballs inside. When I say turning the eyeballs inside, I'm referring to reflection, okay, in thinking about themselves and their role and how they can be more empowered to do that. Now that depth we are not being able to see in AI. AI can take us through a very guided process, okay, because it is programmed, okay, but it cannot be as spontaneous. It can be spontaneous, but it's not as spontaneous as a human coach. It cannot capture the emotion or the feeling as well as the human coach.
Got it. So what else can what else differentiate them? An AI coach and a human coach.
Also, there is a competency which all coaches are trained on called presence. Presence being there. Okay. Now, AI coach offers presence differently than a human coach. A human coach, when the human coach is present, she can listen to what is not being said. I can listen to the shift in energy. I can see what is happening, okay, on your micro expressions, which is also talking to me as a coach, and I can mirror it back to you. Raise your self-awareness. Much better as a human coach. As an AI coach, I am present 24/7 because as I reside in your phone, you can whip it out and start talking to me at any point in time. Whether it's 11 o'clock in the night or 2 a.m. in the morning, I'm available. So presence, which is so critical to the coaching, becomes more complete when both work together. And because it is different also. I mean, I'm sure I'm not going to be very happy if you give me a call at 2 a.m. and Sandeep, I want to talk to you.
I don't think it's gonna go through, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So now we're talking about presence, and in our classroom training, we did practice with our peer coaches about being present and active listening. So let me talk about, and this question just popped in my mind. Before COVID, we were all face to face, one on one. You could talk, sit in front of each other. That shifted to an online world where We've got various platforms for video conferencing. We've got Zoom, Google, everything. So the world changed.
It did.
We went online.
Large part of it.
Large part of it. So, if you can help me understand how present work in a virtual call.
Okay, it works pretty much the same, but the coach has to be more fully present. You have to compensate for the lack of proximity. Okay, so we know from the science of space, and one research which was done was very interesting. You put people into two different buildings, the ability to collaborate comes down by 99%.
Wow.
So the proximity is important. And therefore, coaches need to learn how to offset that disadvantage. Okay? Because the proximity is now lesser, and therefore there are clients which today are asking us to, fly for coaching a couple of people during the day, and they're willing to pay because they understand the value of proximity and the impact it can have. So you need to learn the science or the art of offsetting proximity. So for example, just a quick tip and it's free. So one of the things when I start a virtual session, I will look at the client and I say, hey, you know what, tell me all the objects which I cannot see on my screen but they're around you.
Wow.
And classical answer will be phone, paper, pen, and everything. So I said, which is most likely to disturb you during the next 60 minutes in this session, and what can you do to minimize their interference? Okay.
Mhm.
Then I will perform a centering exercise, because I'll start by saying, what is occupying your mind space right now, which can again disturb you during our conversation. And we will do some centering exercise, which could be as simple as breathing, deep breathing. In India, we call it as pranayam. Also, that works beautifully. The whole idea is to bring the client to focus in the present. And therefore, these centering exercises, if coaches can learn and be very visibly, be alert towards, get clients getting distracted or clients not getting focused. More importantly, coaches also have stuff which clients can't see. So while I've seen coaches asking others to remove the stuff, and they pick up a call and say, so sorry, there is a call coming, they forgot to put their own phone on silence. And sometimes you have Alexas in the room. They will speak up at the wrong time. So you need to work on your physical environment to improve the handicap which is created by proximity.
Okay.
And focus.
So now I'm more curious now that we've shifted a little topic. So one more question and then we're going to shift our focus back. So what do you think about the hybrid model? So what has happened with me as a coach is, a lot of clients don't want to commute. They don't want to get into a car and travel to B. Same goes for coaches. The traffic in Gurugram is horrible. It takes more than an hour to reach every city in India. So what happens is we've adopted this hybrid model where we have the first session, which is not the chemistry session, the first coaching session in person, and then we follow up with 4 virtual calls, and then do either the last 2 or last 1 coaching session in person.
Yep. I think it's a great adaptation and works very well. And a lot of clients are using that and doing that, and that's perfectly fine. It has to be, you have to also consider the preference of the client here. Okay. Now, when I'm dealing with a younger age group, they are very comfortable. All calls remote.
That's true, I am.
Yeah. And then you have, baby boomers and, generation X, Y, which is more comfortable in person. So you have to do whatever you need to do. And there is a price differential also. It is cost effective to do it virtually and all those things. However, there is a handicap that you are dependent on quality of internet. You have to make sure you manage your physical space, you manage your mental space better than the other times.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. So coming back, let's come back, shift our focus back. Uh, so now that we've discussed some differences between human coaches and AI coach, and in the last podcast episode, you said something really interested, and I've written it down. Is AI coach will not replace human coaches. Coaches who start using AI will replace the coaches
Who don't use it,
who don't use it.
obviously. That's true. Uh, the reason is because the client experience will be much better, stakeholder experience will be much more better, sponsor experience will be much more better. Let's look at through each of those lenses. The biggest concern sponsors have, the people who are paying the money for the coaching, and especially companies and corporates, they are worried that, are we moving directionally towards what we wanted to? Well, how are we tracking coaching? How are we moving in the direction we want? And there is a confidentiality agreement. Coaches can't reveal the content of the conversation. So today, therefore, when the AI were not there or the tools were not there, it was difficult to demonstrate traction or engagement or movement, okay, without revealing the content. AI tools, I believe, can help you there. So you can show movement, you can show traction, okay, and different people can also give you feedback on changes which are there on these online tools and AI tools which are available. That's the first thing which is important. So it helps answer because you can dashboard it and other things. You can see, where the client is moving. That's one part of it. That's the stakeholders. If they want to give some feedback, if they want to give, presence of these online tools can allow them to interact with the both coach and the client in a manner that is transparent, and that also creates the right kind of community for coaching. Okay, so otherwise, in traditional methods of coaching, is coach and client are working together, and sparsely they will go and interact with sponsors and stakeholders intermittently, and it may not be live online interactive kind of a thing. So that's another thing which can change and which changes. Third, from a client point of view, sometimes I need answers.
Yeah. But how will a coach answer?
And that's where the AI comes in. So good AI apps will have both mentor option and a coach option. So while they can, at morning 2 a.m. they're worried about something, they can whip out their phone, start their AI, this thing, and they start having a coaching conversation with AI, which is also getting, track as part of the movement. It can, client can get stuck and doesn't have patience, okay, to look for answers. So you switch on to mentor mode. A good quality app will basically help you, will crawl the web, internet, YouTubes and others, and find material for you which you can use to build your awareness around the solutions which are looking forward. So it has what we call as a coach mode and a mentor mode. You can choose to work with whichever you want to do that at that time.
Yeah, that is actually useful. If I go back to the days I was being coached, at times I wanted to ask, why can't you give me an answer? Give me an answer.
So that's where AI can be much more better.
Yeah. So how let's talk about some ways human coaches can leverage AI to understand their clients' needs and then tailor the coaching strategies. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's a great one. In coaching, because I'm referring to ICF framework, there is the competency number 8, facilitating client growth. Okay, because it's all about client at the end of the day. It's not about AI, it's not about human coach, it's about helping people grow in what they need to do. And there is an intervening period, because we believe if you have done a good job of creating an action plan and a clear plan to be implemented at that, it still requires some kind of tracking. It still requires some kind of interactivity, because we don't live in a static world. Things change. Okay, so there might be things which may be changing between one and second session, and a human coach who can deploy a AI coach along with the human process can create a much better client experience and much agile client experience, where client can finish the interaction with the human coach, and then the AI coach takes over like a relay race between for those 7 days, 10 days, and keeps tracking the activity or actions which he or she needs to work on, and also starts interacting beyond the conscious discussions which have happened in that, because AI coach also can bring insights to the client, and then at the end brings those insight into the next session with the human coach. So it becomes more continuous experience of coaching. So coaching does not become a series of 6 events, but coaching becomes a continuous engagement. And I believe if that happens and we can do that, the results will come much faster, and it will also democratize coaching as a process.
No, I actually echo that. I use AI coach with one of my clients, and due to some scheduling reasons, we were unable to do the second call
Yeah.
after 15 days. And then finally, we had a second session after a month's time. But we could see the progress, we could track the progress because of the app.
Yeah.
And the AI was there to help. So yeah, I echo that thought. So coming to the last question, and can you share another one of your brilliant stories about how the combination of human coaches and AI coach together led to a successful outcome?
Okay. So this is a very interesting one. So a friend of mine had a sister who was going through a tough time. So she asked me to check it out if I want to coach her. And I said, as long as it's not a case of depression, anxiety, and all that, we don't do coaching. Sandeep, go ahead, talk to her. She needs help. Now, I realized she was an extremely introvert person. Okay. She didn't open up for the first time because her sister was the sponsor in this case. So she thought she's bringing in somebody where, to sort of, she was feeling being judged at the end of the day, because she had lost her husband, gone through a terrible time, and all that stuff. So I said, listen, how important it's for you to come out of what you are going through. Okay, she says very munitively, she said, it is important. And I said, how much time and attention would you like to give to yourself to coming out? Because that's the only thing which I do. Okay. And she was a teacher. She was doing basically 9 to 3 job. And I said, that's what I do after I'm done with the school. I said, okay. So I deployed the AI coach. I said, even before we start having a conversation, therefore, this is after the chemistry call. I said, go ahead, start using this app. And she found comfort in that because of her nature, because of probably where she's coming from. And I said, nobody's going to listen to this. Nobody's going to judge you on this. Okay, so you can talk to it. This app had a talking mode, so it could understand verbal command. You didn't even have to type, and she would put the questions or the responses there, and she became two things happened. One, she could release some of the stuff which she was carrying inside without getting the feeling of being judged. Second, she became comfortable with the process of coaching, which was alien to her. And then after about a month, she came back, Sandeep, I think I can have some conversations with you and let's see how we go forward. For me, that was a touching story because, in this case, uh, that fear of being judged was so profound that she was more comfortable talking to an AI before she could become comfortable talking to a human.
Wow. Yep, that is powerful. So So basically, we should work towards synergy and not get scared of AI coach coming in
Yeah,
as
nothing.
coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing is going to replace human coaches.
So we use it to our own power.
And whatever to do, whatever works for the client, the focus remains what works for the client is the best thing.
Yeah, that is true. We work towards what client wants. Yeah,
Dancing with the client.
dancing with the client. Exactly. So thank you for sharing your experience and having a conversation about AI coaching in this industry. And for the people out there, we are going to give you a freebie. A freebie is something, we have an AI coaching app and we would love for you to use it. If you're a coach, go ahead, use it. If you're a client, go ahead, use it. And now you know the fist pump. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.